Joe from Adventure Isle, and today we're at the San Diego Zoo Safari Park, and I'm going on the Africa Tram so I can see the baby giraffe. It's 6 feet tall and 110 pounds at birth, and it's gonna be so cute. Come on, let's go! I found a prince! Actually, I want to see that one. And
This one is the baby.
I have more fluffy. She has like 15 million fluffy. And that's selfie.
Is it a competition?
You guys have a good time?
Yeah.
Is this the best part? Have you done this before?
We haven't done this before, so they don't know yet.
I think the elephant's fun.
Was that good? The elephants were good?
Or the white one.
Raise your hands if you
White,
like to
there's a white
be
one.
Hi, and welcome on
No,
to the
there's
African
only
Tram. My name is Heidi, and I'll be your driver and guide for the next 25 minutes.
Alright.
Just before we get started, a few safety rules. Please remember to remain seated at all times while the tram is in movement. Make sure to keep all arms, legs, and children inside the tram. Do not lean, sit, or lay on the doors as they're only latched and not locked, and I don't want to leave you on the path. Now, in case you drop any items outside of the tram, simply raise your hands and wave goodbye, as we cannot stop to pick it up. However, if you don't want to donate your things to the giraffes, let me know at the end of the tour. And in case of any medical emergencies, there are yellow strips above your heads. Press and hold those strips to quickly notify me. Those right behind me, just knock on my windows to get my attention. Alright, roll to the side, the fun part, the animals. I always start off with the domesticated dog on your right. And if you look closely, you'll also find the cheetah. This is Rixa and Little Ray. Don't worry, Little Ray is a puppy in there with Rixa. Little Ray is Rixa's companion and, in a way, circus dog. Once you're done looking at cute Little Ray and Rixa, you can also turn over to the left, where you'll see some large iconic animals of Africa, like a tower of giraffes and a crash of rhinos. This is just a little sneak peek out here in East Africa, as we will be returning at the very end of the tour. So hopefully when we come back, there'll be a bit more activity out here. But we're going to be venturing out to the big fields, taking a look at many different species of wildlife, their different behaviors and physical adaptations they have to help them all thrive in their environment. We'll see a couple of birds over to the right, and it does seem like the whole flamboyance is out and about. This little cute flamboyance over our right are the greater flamingos. They live in salty marshes where it tends to get pretty hot, so having those extra light pink feathers helps to reflect heat and keep them cool in their hot environment. They're like wearing light colored clothing, so they're colored clothing on a hot sunny day. The San Diego Zoo Safari Park is part of our two front doors. Our other door is the San Diego Zoo. We are both part of the San Diego Zoo Wildlife Alliance. Now when you pass by either of our two front doors or purchase anything in the park, you not only help us out with many conservation projects all over the world, but you help us provide a world where all life can thrive. And one of these in-house conservation projects is the Nikita Khan Rhino Rescue Center, located here on to our right. There are some rhinos out there, but they are right in the corner, so it's going to be a little hard to see them. Good eye if you guys get to. The wall's a little high on that end, so it's a little hard to see them. So we're just gonna pass by, hopefully getting to see rhinos throughout the rest of the tour. But the rhino crash that lives here on the right is a really important one, as one day they're going to become separate mothers through in vitro, helping out their closest relatives, the northern white rhino. But sadly, there's only 2 left in the whole entire world. But with all the research and work we're doing here in the park, I do hope to help them we do hope to help those last 2 rhinos come back from the brink of extinction. Kind of like we did in Jurassic Park, but hopefully less fighting. Over to the left, the big savanna habitat out there, but we're also going to see a ton of antelope. And it looks like we run into our very first antelopes out here. They're caramely in color and they kind of look like cows. They are the Patterson elands. And these guys are the biggest out of all the antelopes we get to see out here. If we're going to compare this to something, anybody here measures about 6 feet? Well, if you 6-footers were to go out there and stand right next to those Patterson elands, you would just reach about their shoulders. There's also some local wildlife over to the right. See if we can spot that California mule deer amongst the tall grasses.
That's her new name, Rosie.
Ooh, pretty.
And the animals up on the hillside, we'll get a closer look at them when we go around. There's a few more Patterson elands up there, some water bucks, and some sables. But we're gonna head over towards the end of this side of the habitat to see who else we can spot out there. And I think our next little group of wildlife are gonna be the giraffes. These giraffes are much darker in color. They got small, sloshy spots. They are the Maasai. They do have a new little baby with them. However, he might be a little hard to see. He has taken the seat right next to his mom. But we'll try to see if he's visible on our end. Because the baby's still quite new, he's still bonding with his mom. So we're not allowed to stop, but I will slowly go by so we can spot him. Ooh, I think we are going to be able to see him. So right by the rocks.
Oh, look at the little baby.
They came out 3 years ago.
No, honey. That hard one was over a week old. 아, 새끼 안 돼.
Hopefully you spotted that little nugget.
What's the tiniest little baby?
Our little itty bitty nugget is about 1 week old. And even though he is tiny compared to everyone else, that little baby giraffe already measures around 6 feet. Behind the giraffes, we find
Still see the baby
buffalo.
over there.
One of the
There's
toughest
the little
animals out
baby.
of the savanna habitat. These guys are not afraid to even stand up against a lion if they ever need to. Forming protective circles, so make sure to keep those babies extra safe inside the circle. Super protective and they watch each other's backs like a big old family. And they also love to stare. They'll definitely catch at least 1 or 2 of the Cape buffaloes out there staring. and they're quite good at it. Those capes will stare you down with the most serious face out there in the fields. You can truly say that capes have extreme RBF, resting buffalo face. Didn't see the Somali wild ass over to the right. Hiding somewhere up there. You guys have bigger windows, so if you did see a little donkey with zebra striped stockings over to your right, those are the Somali wild ass. Also in that grayish lavender color are the gemsbok. These antelopes over to our left with little masks and quite the long horns. Those horns of theirs can get up to 4 feet in length. We're going to continue our way up the hill, where there's going to be lots of hiding spots out here. And if we look closely, amongst the trees and bushes, we might spot some rhinos, zebras, and of course many more antelopes. Like the road antelopes we might see going up the hill.
Rhinos.
Across the way on one of the hillsides, there are some grubby zebras up there and some rhinos. The rhinos are going to be the 2 moving boulders. I'm just going to go really slow so you all can see them.
There they are. Rhinos and zebras. Save the chubby unicorns.
Alright, we've reached the top of the bridge. We're able to see the whole savanna habitat, the surroundings, the front squad area, and even the balloon. Also up here, some Ugandan cops and some more rooms. On the right side, we have the main forest habitat. This is where the extreme-headed seekers live. So don't worry if you can't see any of the antelopes. They're pretty good at hiding. But towards the front there are some red lurchways. You might spot some little more gazelles. Or stripy savannas. Or even the elusive broncos. So good eye if you can spot any of those orange antelopes. So I think we're gonna wait just for a little bit right here. Looks like the zebra decided to go. So these 2 boys are grubby zebras. They have such a beautiful stripy patterns. Those little zebra stripy patterns on the zebras are great for camouflaging. Of course, they do not camouflage like normal. Being black and white is a little hard. But when you have a whole dazzle of zebras, and they're all running and moving around at the same time, all that movement of a bunch of zebras and stripes does get a little confusing, especially when you're trying to figure out one zebra from the other. here we can see the rhinos, but not from this side. More roads, and the wildebeests looks like they're heading down the hill. As we head down the hill, we get beautiful views of our surrounding habitat. All these plant life, hillsides, and mountainsides all belong to our local habitat known as the California coastal sagebrush, one of the most endangered habitats out here in North America. So we need to make sure we protect it so it can be around for many generations to come. For San Diego Zoo Safari Park, up to the side, 900 of those acres out there. So a lot of those local wildlife like to jump over the fence and come into the park, like that California mule deer we saw earlier. You might spot a few more. A few of them like to hang out by the parking lot. Or you might spot some bunnies in the bushes, run into a roadrunner, or any of the little birds that fly around throughout the day. But to continue to have our local wildlife around, we've got to do our part as well by recycling, saving water, or even planting local and native plants in your gardens is a big help. But if you're more into computers, you can always log on to Wildlife Watch Burrowing Owls and help their scientists look through thousands of pictures for those tiny little ground owls or any local wildlife. We got the sables up here on the left. They're doing almost a perfect circle today. They're one of the best alert circlers out here. As you can see, everybody's facing a different direction, keeping an eye out for danger, making it a little harder for those predators to sneak up on them. As well, some of the wildlife will choose higher spots, like those guys that chose a nice little hillside to get a much better viewage point. Some more antelopes, of course. We've got the Ellipsin water fox. These beautiful brown fluffy guys with the most cutest nose out here in the fields. If you do get a good view of their noses, they do look like hearts. Besides their little nose on the other end, their tushy end, every single one of them has a little white marking, which is a follow me mark. Those little follow me marks are going to help herds able to follow each other whenever they are migrating or grazing. It makes it easier for them to stay together. Kind of like wearing a matching t-shirts for us humans. We also got some more of the Patterson elands. We saw these guys at the very beginning. On the right, the scimitar horned orcs. Beautiful white antelopes, horns angle back, looking like a scimitar's swords. So we got pretty good viewing out here at the habitat. Now we're going to head over to east. Take a quick look, see if there's any more wildlife before heading back to the station. Alright, looks like we're back in east. I want you to see who is out here. Looks like there's some tiny gazelles on the ground.
Or can run about 50 to 55 miles per hour and go for much longer distances.
There's some giraffes and rhinos, but they're all hanging out in the far end corner. So we'll start heading our way over to them. Look, so and Bayani are living their best life right now, just hanging out under a tree. Okay, so giraffes towards the far left and rhinos up on the hillside. Everybody's hanging out in this corner right now. But it makes it pretty fun coming out on the tram because you always will get a different view. Sometimes the wildlife is going to be super, super close. Sometimes they're far away and you just get to enjoy the nice big hills with all those sprinkles of wildlife up there. At least we get to see the rhinos right now. The rhinos like to hang out at Kalima Point. So if you haven't been up there, it's a really nice viewing area. And you can see the rest of East Africa from up there. And this whole morning, all the crash of rhinos were hanging out up there. But now they made their way down. So I'll just pass by slow here. So everybody gets to see the rhinos and then the reticulated giraffes, which are the ones with the much lighter colors than the Messiahs we saw earlier. I do hope everybody enjoyed themselves and got some good pictures. Again, with you just entering through any of our two front doors. Not only help us out with any conservation projects all over the world, they help us provide a world where all lives concerned. I was trying to see if we could bring the line up. They were hanging out up there at the corner. I don't see them anymore. More likely they ended up going all the way to the middle or towards the end. So make sure you guys go check out the lions. They're pretty cool, especially the lionesses. When they're not enjoying their 20-hour nap of the day, they are very playful and a little bit mischievous. On the left, there is a few antelopes out there. These are the lowland nyalais. There are 4 females, and the males are actually look really different. There's one in there. You might have spotted that as you guys were waiting for the tram. They are a dark brown color, very furry, and they got horns. But as you reach the station, please remain seated until the tram comes to a full complete stop. Everybody will be exiting out to the right side of the tram only. To escape, reach over the doors, grab on the back handles, and push forward. And hopefully everybody continues to enjoy the rest of their day here at the San Diego Youth Park.